excellent in these type of scenarios, but peterbot is just a little better. Up top, the high ground hit is good, and he needs to...
You see that? That is what a winning player looks like. But not just the winner of this particular game, but a player that has won more tournaments and broke more records in a single chapter than any other player in the history of Fortnite. Now, Peter is really good, but he's not just good relative to this tournament. He's also not just good relative to this chapter, because he might possibly be the greatest player in Fortnite history. Now, let me quickly take you back to 2017, 7 years ago, when video games weren't so popular, until a game called Fortnite was released in September. Now, as we all know, over the next year, Fortnite would quickly become the most popular game of all time. And with this massive popularity, there was a huge demand for a competitive scene within Fortnite. So tournaments would emerge, and as Fortnite competitive grew, the World Cup would be announced. Now, of course, we all know during this time period that many players would emerge into the conversation for the best player in the game. For example, Clix was a 5-time World Cup qualifier, and of course, Bugha had won the World Cup, permanently putting him in the GOAT debate. And over the next few seasons, many other players would be thrown up into the GOAT debate. But peterbot would remain a name unknown this entire time, because he wouldn't ever really achieve anything important till Chapter 2 Season 4, where he would earn his first earnings. And of course, that was wildly different to all the other pro players during this time. And on top of that, peterbot was also playing on a console up until this point, meaning he would have to switch inputs from controller to keyboard, putting him even further behind all the other players he would be better than in the near future. Anyways, over the next 3 seasons, he would swap inputs over to keyboard and mouse, grinding like crazy, playing Zone Wars all day every day. And it was this exact practice that indirectly helped him to get noticed as quite the solid player. You see, there was a solo FNCS showdown that would allow for underrated and unknown players like peterbot to show the world exactly what they were made of. And peterbot knew that this would be his chance, so he played his absolute best, and he ultimately ended up placing 8th in this tournament of hundreds of thousands of players, earning him $16,000. Now, besides the earnings, this was his major breakthrough, because he showed just how good he was as a solo. And it would be this exact performance that motivated Pgod and TK to take a chance on peterbot. And to say the least, they made a great decision, because with Peter's crazy fighting ability, they placed 11th in that trio FNCS. Now, at this point, Peter knew that if he continued to play with better and better players, he would continue learning faster than everyone else. So he would decide to play with Fortnite veterans Bucky and Macwood, and this new team would help peterbot an indescribable amount, because he would learn more than ever from them, and with them he would place 11th and then 4th in FNCS Grand Finals in the 2 seasons they played together. Then Chapter 3 would roll around, and peterbot would decide to play with a player named Kwani, and together with Kwani, peterbot would place 10th. And then the next season, Peter would once again switch teammates, and he would play with a player named Byla, another ex-console player just like peterbot. And together they would do what absolutely nobody expected them to do, which was to win the FNCS Grand Finals. Now, of course, this came with a massive check, but before we get ahead of ourselves, I have to point out the fact that within 1 year of his solo breakout, Pete was already an FNCS champion. Now, this rapid rise to the top was something Fortnite had never seen before, and it was just so crazy because Peter had seemingly appeared out of nowhere as a young, toxic little kid who was just trying so much to be better than everyone. And after he won FNCS, nobody expected peterbot to be as good as he is today. And at first, Peter didn't really seem like he was going to continue to be the best, because he would only place 6th in the remaining FNCS of Chapter 3. And that was still a great placement by all means, but of course it just wasn't as good as the win Peter already had. And then in the LAN event of that chapter, he would only place 37th, his worst placement thus far. but this placement had a much bigger impact than you might think. Now, what I mean is that on LAN, you can't really cheat at all, since you're in the same room as so many other people. And at this point, Peter had quite a few suspicious clips floating around that made it really seem like he was cheating.
What?
Wait, did I say
Peter!
Wait.
You were making it obvious!
Oh my god, that. Oh my god! Do you see my body? Like when I'm running?
Great FNCS vlog as well.
He's hacking!
Hit my surge, hit my surge! Dead, knocked one!
I'm on the ice. He misses it.
Peterbot's cheats are just going crazy right now.
Now, all of these clips had almost the entire Fortnite community coming after Peter, accusing him of cheating left and right. And then when he placed terribly at the LAN event, it made it seem even more clear that Peter was cheating at home, because he placed terribly at the LAN where he wasn't able to cheat. And then over the next chapter, his cheating accusations would only continue to pile up. And they eventually got to Peter's head in Chapter 4 of Fortnite, because he really wouldn't have the best performance in the FNCSs that chapter, placing 16th, 9th, and 18th in all 3 of the majors of that chapter. Now, once again, these were pretty solid placements, but they just weren't on par with his previous placements. And because of that, he was living up to what everyone thought would happen to peterbot, which was that he would slowly fall off after his championship. But deep down, Peter knew that he couldn't let this happen. So heading into Chapter 5 Fortnite, he knew that he had to team up with a player that wanted to practice and improve just as bad as him. And that player would be Pollo. And right when they started playing together, they would do great. And this would continue all the way into the first FNCS of Chapter 5. And their first FNCS together, where they would end up placing 2nd. Now, this was a great placement for both of them, and it showed them that they really had a solid future ahead of them if they just kept playing. So they did the logical thing and continued to play together. But it was during this time where peterbot would begin to take over Fortnite, as he would begin to play the solo victory cups. But he wouldn't just play them normally trying to win the game, because he would try to get as many eliminations as he could. And he would have numerous games where he would have 30 or more eliminations, and all those games would be posted to YouTube, funneling him millions of views for his content. From here, Peter wouldn't let off the gas, because heading into the next season, him and Pollo locked down the best POI in competitive Fortnite history, which was Grim Gate. And from this POI, peterbot would continue to key the solo cups, actually managing to drop 41 kills in a single game as a solo. Now, this meant that Peter had just broken the world record, and as if things couldn't get any better for Peter, him and Pollo would go on to win every single duo cash cup that season, which is something that only a few teams have ever done. But on top of that, in one of the duo cash cup finals, peterbot managed to win every single game, going 6 for 6, and that was something that actually had never been done before. And at that point, everyone was certain that peterbot and Pollo would win FNCS, because they just couldn't be stopped. So it was no surprise to anyone when they went on to win. But what was so surprising was the fact that they had won with over 1,000 points, being a couple hundred points ahead of 2nd place. Now, this was considered by many the best season anyone had ever had in competitive Fortnite, just because of how many things Peter had achieved. And as a result, he was seeing his largest month on all of his social medias, getting millions upon millions of views and thousands of live viewers in his stream, which showed him just how much his work was paying off. So he wouldn't stop, because alongside Pollo, they would continue forward, with their heads down heading into the last FNCS of Chapter 5, where they once again had the best POI in the game on lock, this time being Redline Rig. And from here, they would once again do nothing short of absolutely dominate, winning yet another FNCS Grand Final, making everyone realize just how crazy they were. Then from here, all the best teams from all around the world had qualified to the global LAN event that would be taking place in Texas. And of course, Peter and Pollo were one of the qualified teams, But they weren't just any team, because everyone knew just how good they were, with almost everyone in the Fortnite community saying that Peter was the best player in the game. And they weren't just saying that for no specific reason. Now, you all know just how good Peter did throughout the chapter, but there were a few more stats that I never got to mention to you that made peterbot even scarier, and those were his stats in the FNCS Grand Finals. So to explain this, you probably all know about Storm Surge, a mechanic that requires players to deal damage and stay alive. And well, peterbot dealt a lot of damage, to say the least. Now, these stats are from Peter's FNCS win in Season 2, where he dealt almost 19,000 damage and had 50 eliminations. Now, on top of that, he had a damage ratio of 3, meaning he dealt 3 times more damage than he received, which is absolutely unheard of. And all of those numbers being put up by one player for sure makes him the best in that season. But then the next season, Peter was once again at the top of the leaderboards, winning that FNCS as well, and this time dealing over 13,000 damage with 36 eliminations. Once again, a crazy performance. But what's so crazy about all those stats is the fact that he was the best player by far 2 seasons in a row. So it was safe to say that he was for sure the scariest player heading into the Globals LAN event. And it would be there at the Globals LAN event that Peter would go above and beyond everyone's expectations, showing everyone that he was in fact the best there was.
He's just doing everything he can to survive. Peterbot, though, gonna pick off Teeny in the process. Crazy as well, finds another into Rapid. Not gonna get a chance, though, to collect the body loot instead. He's scrambling, trying to remain out of sight here. Tulix and Chicho right behind him, but Peterbot grabs him in the end.
That's exactly what he needed as well. Peterbot trying to take back these points here. Finishing off Trulex now inside of a top 5 situation up on height. It's Dukes though with Peterbot looking to fight back. Do not count him out. It is all solos remaining here. T-Turbo down. The next one is down too. Batman Booga sent back to the lobby. 3 players now here. Peterbot looking at 1v1v1. And another one. Down goes Bars. Can he find the final fight here? Dukes is excellent in these type of scenarios. But Peterbot is just a little better. Up top, the high ground hit is good. And he needs to go. And he does. It's 5-2v2, and that's all solos in between. One of those solos is, of course, Peterbot. Rapid is going to fall as well, and he just does not stop claiming eliminations at this point. Move on the backside of zone. Don't come outside. It's not going to go well if you step into Peter's domain. Meanwhile, Thomas HD, Queasy are setting up the victory royale.
Thomas HD, Queasy, they know. It's Peterbot and Booga.
Oh my
They have to
God.
deal with, but Peterbot gets a huge chunk out of Queasy. Thomas is gonna fall. One more shot could do it. Peterbot with the refresh, continuing to break through on the long ground. He's making the impossible happen.
Queasy versus Booga up top. Takes him down. Queasy versus Peterbot now. How badly do you want it? Queasy is looking for the tag. Both shots can easily go any way. Peter finds the first one. Can he get the second? He's incredible.
The second time today.
So as you just saw, peterbot absolutely put his team on his back, solo clutching multiple games and hundreds of points against the best players in the world. And this crazy performance caught the eyes of everyone.
1v1 against the Leprechaun.
It's excellent.
Come on. Oh my god. Oh my god. Nice.
High ground hit is good. And he needs
Oh my god. This game is disgusting. This game is crazy. Oh my god.
it is good.
Hey.
And he needs
Let's go. Oh my god. Oh my god. You can't stop that. You can't. Come on.
can easily
Come on, Pete.
anyway.
Come on, Pete.
First one. Can he get the
Oh
So now that Peter has not only won 3 FNCS titles, but also a global championship, I think it's safe to say that he's the best player Fortnite has ever seen. But here is where many people will say, what about Mero, Tayson, and Booga? And that's where all the unique parts of Peterbot's career come in, with the first part being that Peter had to change his inputs and platform, really making his career start years after all the other pros had been in the game. And because of that, Peterbot was leagues behind Booga, who already had years of experience winning World Cup. But despite that, Peterbot still managed to pass him up. Now, you might say, well, what about Mero? Because he too has a Globals win, and 5 FNCS wins. But the difference is that Peter won his first FNCS at the age of 14, and he managed to do it within a year of even getting his PC, while also being religiously accused of cheating. And then lastly, you have Tayson, someone who's won countless FNCS titles, but the obvious difference between Tayson and Pete is that, of course, the fact that Tayson has never won on LAN. And because of all these unique parts of Pete's career, I think it's safe to say that he is without a doubt the best, most talented, and scariest player Fortnite has ever seen. But Peter couldn't do everything on his own, and he played with Poyo. So you can see Poyo's story right here.